failure. I actually played on the radio once and I gave him an email. Hello lovelies and welcome back to my channel. My name is Amity Gilmour and this is my life. Before we get on with the video, I just need to address what is going on with all of this. I've had a joke with my friends at the moment that I look like a cross between a bunch of things. I don't think I'm gonna mention all of them, but I will say one of those things is a police officer. Just like, anyway. But this is actually an ambulatory EEG. Here's all my little things. I've had this for a week now, so it's tracking to see if there's any issues with my brainwaves. I think they're just trying to get more information on what's going on. They're doing a whole bunch of tests. But today is actually the last day that I have it, and we're actually going to go into RPA, give it back. It has been 5 days with it on. I am looking forward to getting it off and having a shower because I have not showered since Monday. It is now Friday. I've not been allowed to shower. Don't worry, I've been using heaps of deodorant, I've been using washes and stuff, but still just saying, my hair is itchy. I'm just ready to get rid of it at this point. But what is this week's video about? Well, it's not about this, but this is a feature in this week's video. This week's video, I decided that I wanted to sit down with you guys and tell you my journey of how I was able to secure a producer. Because it is a wild story and it comes with a lot of failure. A lot. Just like any success story. So I wanted to share that story with you guys. If any of you guys are trying to chase after your dreams and you just feel like you're getting failure after failure, I want to share my story for a little bit of hope, because if you work hard enough and you put in the hours, you put in the work, you could very well get to where you want to be. So I'm really excited to tell you the story of how I was able to secure a producer, the failed attempts in the past, and let me tell you, it is a wild story. But before we get into it, let's go into the city so we can go to the hospital there and return my get up. Let's go! To pray and close my teary eyes. Don't have the words to say, but a groaning in my heart. And as I open up my eyes, I see the stars, the brightest one. Falls as the moon cries out, she's far too young. Question why I feel that I'm the one to blame. Yet it would seem that there are those. It's pouring rain and I actually don't care because I haven't had a shower since Monday, so make sure I don't say that too loudly in public. There is some surface out here shredding it and it looks really cool. I literally cannot wait until I can get back out there. I'm so excited. So as I told you guys, I had numerous fails before I was able to get the producer that I was able to stick with, and that has been amazing, by the way, like incredible. And I want to tell you first off the fails that I had, because there was a lot of them, like heaps of fails. I pretty much failed all throughout my teen years to secure recordings and productions and whatnot, and that sucks. The first time I ever got anything recorded was actually not a fail, it was more just I was really young and I still hadn't really had much experience yet, and I was working really hard, and I'd written this song, and my first recording, like studio sesh, was actually at my primary school. My year 5, 6, 7 music teacher, who I've talked a lot about on this channel because he and his wife are literally like the reason I decided to do music. I was literally about to quit when I was in year 5. He recorded my song that I wrote when I was 10. We recorded it in our school's recording studio. And yes, you heard that right. My school had a recording studio, but only when that teacher was there. When he moved, he took it with him to the next school, but it was pretty cool. And I ended up recording that song, and it actually played on the radio like once. It was playing on the local radio where I grew up for like a thing called Schools Out, which is basically just our class. We had about an hour of radio time where we did like a program that we did and created all by ourselves. Obviously it wasn't a fail. I got the music recorded, but it was just a dumb song, and it was just my first try at something like it. And I think that's when I realized like, this is so cool, I really want to do this. Fast forward many years later, I ended up securing what I thought might have been a recording sesh with a friend's relative, so I was able to do that. And we didn't get anything out of that recording session because being stupid, I didn't know I had to pay for it. There was no payment that was like discussed, and because it wasn't like a massive professional setup or anything, I didn't know there was payment. But I totally understand, like, I was a kid, by the way, I did not understand these things, but I understand now, obviously, like, get paid for your work, that's really important. But I just didn't have the money, and so I turned up to the session and we had some fun, and then I was told, oh, to get this finished is gonna cost this much money, and I was like, I don't have that money. And so I kept on going on my way and was like, okay, well, that was close. But then I think it was 4 more years or 3 more years later, that same person was studying producing at Byron Bay, and they had a recording set up and everything, and he had basically said, hey, I need practice producing, do you want to come? I'll do it for free. I was like, yeah, whatever, I'd love that, yeah, thanks. So I got in a car at 19 and traveled 9 hours away from home, stayed on my friend's farm at Gilmour, and then was traveling across to Byron Bay every single day and doing recording. Unfortunately, the computer that those recordings were in broke down. We never saw the finished product, so that was really sad. But again, these things happen, plus I wasn't paying, so it wasn't like a disjustice or anything. It was literally just life and how it happens. But I still really enjoy the process. Mind you, it was also through the same recording studio where they did Dance Monkey, I believe. Now, the same year that we worked on the Byron Bay stuff, I was also had found, straight after that Byron Bay thing unfortunately didn't work out, another producer, and was able to secure a session with him, and we did My Heart, which is actually on my Spotify. You can check it out if you want. I don't recommend it, it's trash, but it has a rap, but you gotta start somewhere. This was one recording I was able to do, and it was okay, but it wasn't like top professional or anything, but you know, it was a home studio, but it was really good. I enjoyed the process. I thought it was cool. That one I did pay for. It was $100 for the whole thing, which was a massive discount. If you know anything about song production, you know that that's unheard of. I was willing to pay this time, and I had a little bit of money, not like a whole heap. $100 is what we came to, which was very gracious, and I was very thankful, and I took it. So during that year, for some backstory, I was working in pharmacy trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life, because I knew that I thought that chasing a career in singing was not going to cut it. I was trying really hard to see what career I really wanted, but every single time I just couldn't think of anything but music, so I just stayed working in the pharmacy as, you know, my survival job until I couldn't work anymore. Because literally the next year I got extremely ill. I mean, the rest is history there. And I had to quit my job, and music became more of a survival method for me to, number one, process what I was feeling, and number two, to make money. When I was well enough, I would take myself downtown and I would busk. But I was making $100 an hour, and one time I made $250 in 1 hour. That was $500 in 2 hours. This worked incredibly for me because I was able to choose my hours when I was feeling a lot better. All I needed to do was an hour or two, and if I did 2 hours, there was $200. This, however, was mostly going towards medical fees, and then the rest of it went towards, you know, nice stuff and whatnot. Oh, and then some of it also went to board. At this point, I was also writing a lot of music, but I
didn't actually think I would ever be able to continue with a music career because my health got so bad that I didn't think I was going to make it past the new year. Of course, we had no idea what was going on at the time, so we didn't know if it was life-threatening, we didn't know anything. Kind of like the situation that I'm in, except a little different. So all hope of achieving my music goals was basically lost. Not for long, and we're gonna get to that soon, but first I need to get home because I need a shower. I have not showered, I need one.
Waiting on a miracle, but ain't it something cynical? It I've been told the pain is on me, but what if pain is just a part of life and not as me because it's right? But yeah, go see, I just need the faith that was true, then I'd be healing. True, then I'd be healing.
Hey lovelies, I'm back home. I've had an everything shower. My hair is still greasy. They sprayed my hair after they took the stuff out with this spray, and at first it just looked wet and then it had gunks in there and I was like, Anyway, where were we up to? I remember. So I was busking to make a living. It was helping me pay my medical bills, but that was all that I saw music. At that point, it was a survival method, but I was writing songs at the time. And I think it wasn't until I'd busked quite a bit and I started getting some people who would stop as I was busking, and then they listened to me, and as soon as I finished the song they'd give me their card and they say, hey, so I'm interested in doing a recording with you, you sound really good, free, I'd really love to have my producer. I had stuff like that, and then I also had people stopping and giving me opportunities. I didn't take up any of the producer stuff because I think at that time, I don't know why, I think it was more just I didn't know the person. It would be in a studio situation and I was not well, and I feel like I just was not in the mood to, I guess, record music at that time. And I was also really struggling with self-doubt. I thought I wasn't good enough because I had just finished school and I couldn't even do anything. I was really struggling with thinking I wasn't good enough. But slowly and slowly people were leaving me their cards, different producers who had home studios, and saying, hey, I'd love to record stuff with you. And I had a collection of these cards, and then I also had people stopping and saying, hey, we're getting people to do gigs at this market. Do you want to come do gigs at the market? So I did do some gigs that I was asked to do. So from that busking, there were all these different opportunities where the community I grew up in, the music in that community is pretty tight. I already knew some people, but there was also a lot of people I didn't know because I was still a kid. This was my first time being an adult, and I had a lot of people coming by, giving me opportunities. I took a lot of them. In terms of the producing opportunities, I didn't take any of them at that point. I think I was still struggling with, am I good enough for this? I really love it, but I was making a lot of money, and I was making more than other people I knew who would busk there, a lot more. And I think it was a big boost in confidence after a while, getting all these cards from producers and whatnot. One time I remembered my mum knew a producer who she went to uni with, and she was good friends with him and his wife, and they also knew my uncles because my uncles were quite heavily involved in the music scene in the early 2000s, late 90s. So he also studied music at Gilmour University, which is, if you know anything about Gilmour University and their music program, that's where so many people came out of. The Wiggles came out of there when there were the Cockroaches. Grinspoon came out there, I'm pretty sure. Sticky Fingers, I don't know, a whole bunch of Australian bands who were quite big in the early 2000s, mid 2000s. This producer, I'd heard so much about him because my mom was good friends with his wife, and I decided to look for this person. I knew the name, so I looked it up, did some research, and then I gave him an email. And the email basically said something along the lines of, hi, I don't know if you know me, but you knew my mother and you knew my uncles. I'm just reaching out because I'm busking at the moment and I'm making quite a bit of money with it, and I might be able to work some extra busking hours and save up. I won't be able to record music yet because at this point I'm old enough, I know that it costs money and I have more of a concept of that and how much it actually costs. And so I said, look, I'm probably gonna have to save for a while, but I do have a rough estimate, a rough quote, so I know what the goal is to save up. And then I think it was like a day or so later, I get a message back and it says, yes, I do know who you are. Turns out he and his wife had been following my mum on Facebook and has seen all of the stuff I had posted over the years, well, that my mum had posted. Mum was one of those mums that posts everything, not everything in terms of on public social media. She wasn't not in a bad way in terms of influencers these days, but more just in a Facebook family, sharing with family and friends kind of way. Like, oh, this is a new song that my daughter wrote and she filmed it and put it up there, and this is a performance my daughter did. And so she was constantly putting me on her Facebook, and I didn't know at the time, but he had seen all those. His wife had seen all of them. He said he'd been like seeing my progress for a while. He said, look, this is how much it would cost, but I'm willing to do a couple, just mess around, see what we can do. No price. Which was such a blessing. I couldn't believe it. I believe it was before I got my feeding tube. So it would have been 2021. I started doing some recording at home, doing the vocals and sending them over. And I actually, for the first song we released, Pieces, I actually went and did that with my year 5, 6, 7 music teacher. So we actually did that in his music room. We recorded the whole thing and it was kind of the bare bones of what it is today. And then I sent that across, and then he basically turned it into what it is today, which is incredible. It was insane to be able to actually do this. I've continued to work in partnership. It's been incredible and I've been so blessed to have that opportunity. And I think if I was to encourage anyone out there, I'd say just give it a go. Send an email. If you are looking for a producer, try and find people who you are keen on, look at their work, look at what they've done. Before I emailed him, I actually looked at his website, I looked at a lot of his files. This is pretty cool, I like this. I think also on his website, he's done a thing with Pieces, like my first song. I think he's had that as one of his samples of his work because it's an incredible piece, no pun intended. It's more than just music business-wise because he's known me since I was 4. I remember actually visiting the family when I was 4, like in Newcastle, and then another time in Southwest Rocks. So that was really funny, being like, oh, actually I remember that. All these years later, he's very aware of my situation, particularly my health. He's really helping me, encouraging me to keep going with my music. So he's been incredible, and being able to encourage me with still pursuing music even though I'm not well, and I haven't been well the whole time, but obviously it's getting more, I guess, intense health-wise, as I've discussed before. But I think this is something I want to leave on. I want to say that I still continue to do music for as long as I can. And I'm still wanting to do this. I'm still wanting to release my music regardless of everything that's going on. Again, my music career looks really different, and I think I might do a video on that explaining how I've adapted, what I've done. I think that will be a really good video. Maybe it might be next week's video, I don't know, we'll see. But this is a story of how I ended up in the blessed situation I am in now in terms of the music, which has been incredible. It's been giving me something to fight for, because I feel like when you have something that you are so passionate about, it really does help you keep going and not end you up in a pit where you just, I might as well just give up because there's nothing going for me. Like, I'm potentially dying and I should just give up on everything kind of thing. I think it's a very real feeling, and if you feel that, I felt that. I'm not gonna say that I haven't actually felt that, I have, but I think we all go through that, even if it's not if you're potentially dying or whatever, even if it's just with whatever struggle you're going through and you're just like, I've had enough, I just want to give up on everything. Totally valid. I know that that is a normal part of being a human and going through trials, but I think if I can encourage you to keep going, obviously have your moment to just feel the feelings, feel the hopelessness, and feel the emotions that come with whatever trial it is that you have. But then as soon as you're feeling a little better and you've felt those emotions, then start looking towards the goal of whatever it is that you want, or whatever it is you feel called to. Obviously, this is something I love doing, and I feel like God has given me this gift of music and writing songs. I'm not the most incredible singer in the world or anything. I'm not even the most incredible singer in, I don't know, 100 people per capita kind of thing. I'm not some amazing singer. I have a nice voice, but it's very mediocre and very imperfect, but that's okay. I'm coming to love it anyway. But writing the songs, I really do love it, and I think it really does resonate with people. And so I want to keep going, not just because I want my music to get out there, but that is a big part, but I just want to be able to encourage other girls and boys who have hurdles, whether that be illness or whatever it is that you feel like is going to ruin your chance at doing the thing that you feel called to and love. I want to be an example that there is always the ability to adapt, and it's going to look very different, but it still can be done, just very differently, and maybe not to the same extent you thought. I'm doing music right now. I'm not some super well-known artist or whatever, but I'm still doing music and I still love it. And regardless of whether I have the same streams on Spotify I have now, or whether I have more in the future, regardless, I'm still doing music and I'm still sharing my songs, and it's still resonating with people, even if it's a small amount of people. And I think all music has a place, regardless of how popular it is or not. I've rambled on enough. I just want to say thank you guys for the support. The video that I shared about what's been going on with my health and everything, that video came out this Monday, and I've received so much support and love from you guys, and I am overly thankful, and I just don't know how to express my thankfulness fully because I just don't have the words. I'm so grateful for all of you guys and the love and support you have for me. Even you guys don't even know me, we've never even met, and you guys care, and I love that. So thank you so much. Question of the week: what is your biggest goal in life? Because I just love being encouraged to know that other people are still going at it regardless of whatever it is that they're going through in their life. All right, love you guys. God bless.